When I was at college, I knew a priest from Ireland, and whenever he was saying goodbye to anyone, instead of actually saying goodbye or take care or see you soon or whatever, he would always say, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Is it an Irish tradition, Sister Mary? Yeah, beautiful phrase, a lovely tradition. Well, this was meant to be my how to keep your faith at university homily. And many of you heard it last year, and I'll give it you now in 60 seconds in case you were unlucky enough to miss it last year. So here we go. Most of you have inherited your Catholic faith. You have Catholic parents, you come from a Catholic culture possibly. This is a great blessing. But now at university, you need to make it your own as adults, to come into your inheritance. How? By living your faith with integrity, by holding on to the essentials of your Catholic life. And what are these? Well, a list. Daily prayer, Sunday Mass, regular confession, learning about your faith, making friends in a Catholic community, serving others, evangelization. That's it. People are gasping. They've never heard me give a 60-second homily before. Well, I'm going to go on, unsurprisingly. Because just have that in mind, and now go back to the Gospel reading. And you see how Jesus is giving his How to Keep the Commandments sermon. You must not kill, you must not commit adultery, you must not steal, etc., etc. He does it in under 60 seconds, and it's great. But, the rich man senses that Jesus is holding something back. And he says, Master, I've kept these commandments since my youth. As if he's saying, there must be something more. And in response, Jesus looked at him and loved him. Beautiful line. Jesus looked at him and loved him and told him the one thing that he needed to do that would allow him to go deeper and to become a true disciple, which was, go, sell everything you own, give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and then come and follow me. So the real question for you at the beginning of a new academic year is actually different, you see. It's not just how to keep your Catholic faith, that's important, but it's just the beginning. The real question is, do you want to go deeper? Do you want to be a disciple and not just a believer? Because you have been living your faith, like the rich man. Like him, you have a good heart. But there's a danger for all of us, but especially this year, that it could become just an external routine, a habit, a community of faith that you belong to without the faith actually belonging to you. And Jesus looks at you and he loves you. He looks into your eyes, into your heart, with such kindness and tenderness and compassion that you hardly dare to meet his gaze. And he wants you to realize that everything else in your life, however important it seems this year, is absolutely worthless if it gets in the way of knowing him and following him. How can we go deeper? How? Well, just let me give you an image from the liturgy. You know, just a couple of minutes ago, every Mass, when the priest announces the Gospel, proclaims the Gospel, and he says, a reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark, and you say, glory to you, O Lord. And at the same time, we do this on autopilot, but all of us, priest and people, we make the sign of the cross, don't we, with our thumb in 3 places, on our forehead, on our lips and on our heart. And it's good to stop and think what this really means. It means that the words of the gospel, the truths of our Catholic faith, the cross of Christ, are meant to touch the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we feel and love and pray with our hearts. Usually, when we make the triple sign of the cross in this way, it's as if we are like children applying face paint at a party. We enjoy it, it's fun and beautiful and it's pretty. But when we go home, we wash the paint away and we look like our normal selves. But really, when we make these signs, it should be like receiving a tattoo in a tattoo parlour. The ink should go under the skin. It's a mark that's permanent, deep and indelible. So this year, think of the signs of the cross. And think about your faith. That's what this means on the forehead. I mean, really think this year. You are bright, intelligent. You go to some of the finest universities in the world. Surely you should bring the same curiosity and intellectual energy to your Catholic faith as you do to your studies. Maybe not quite the same amount of time. Most of you can't spend 40 hours a week on theology. But certainly the same passion and intellectual rigour. Your Christian faith is the most important thing in your life. When did you last read deeply about your faith? When did you last wrestle with a question or a problem and actually do the research or talk to someone to find an answer that satisfied you, heart and mind? Our Catholic faith has a credibility, an intellectual integrity. Don't be afraid of exploring it. And my one practical suggestion is for you to make a commitment to do one course or programme this semester, here at Newman House or in your college Catholic society. You can't do everything, but why not choose one thing from the programmes that attracts you and use that as a way of deepening your faith this year? And we make the sign of the cross on our lips as well. Don't be afraid of speaking about your Catholic faith. We should be proud of our faith and willing to speak about it, not hiding out of shame or fear. I had one of those moments on Friday night. It's 9:30 in the evening. I've had a long day, I'm tired, and I missed supper, so I'm desperate for my supper stored in the fridge. And when I come out at Euston Square Station at the top of the road, a young student sees my clerical collar and he pounces on me. He asks me if I'm a vicar. That's what you say in England if you think someone's an Anglican priest. Are you a vicar? And I say, well, I'm a Catholic priest. Nice to meet you. And then this young student, I'm not exaggerating, he gives me a long, long speech about how the Holy Trinity is an invention of a 4th century Roman emperor, and how it's impossible that God could have shared our humanity, impossible that he could have shared our weakness in Jesus Christ. This is at Euston Square. Yeah? Now, I do my best to give a loving, Catholic, scriptural reply. Done very well. And then, I'm trying to keep a straight face with him, he moves on to the Blessed Virgin Mary and the Catholic view of marriage. And I'm ashamed to say that after 10 minutes, I told him I was about to collapse of hunger. And I hoped sincerely that we could meet again, and that was enough for one evening. Now, I'm not making this up. This was Friday night, 2 days ago. And obviously it's quite an intense example. But my point is this. We can't avoid these conversations in the university world. People are interested in what you think and in what you believe. Sometimes they can ask up front, even sometimes quite aggressively, and we feel defensive. Sometimes they ask out of genuine curiosity. Tell me, what do you think, what do you believe, why, how come? And sometimes they don't quite know how to ask, but they are really, really searching, and we can sense it. And we owe it to them to give the best answer we can, truthfully, lovingly. That's all. You are not St. Thomas Aquinas. You don't have all the answers, but you can do your best. And that is actually all that is needed. Because it's the witness of your faith that matters. And it's the simple things you say that will touch others, even if you feel inadequate. So here's another practical tip. Pray for your friends and for yourself that you will have opportunities to share your faith with them this year, to speak, to make real this cross that you've drawn on your lips. God will surprise you, and invite them to things. Be brave. Invite them to things that are going on here in Newman House in your cathsoc. If they're not Christians, if they're curious, invite them, for example, to Sycamore, which starts this Thursday, this week, which is a gentle way of allowing people to explore their own faith questions on their own terms. But the invitation has come out of love from you. I'll finish with a quote that popped up on my Facebook feed last night. It's from the most unlikely source. How do you pronounce his name? Jurgen Klopp, yeah? Who is the new manager at Liverpool Football Club, apparently. This is Jurgen, yeah, a football manager. Not a priest, not a preacher. And I sourced this. It wasn't just one of those memes. I went and found the interview source. Listen to him. He has the last word. To be a believer, but not to want to talk about it, I do not know how it would work. If anyone asks me about my faith, I give information. Not because I have a claim to be any sort of missionary, but when I look at me and my life, and I take time for that every day, then I feel I am in sensationally good hands. Amen to that.